Imagine two intellectual titans standing at the edge of a precipice. On one side, Yuval Noah Harari warns of a future where algorithms might render traditional human roles obsolete. On the other, Jordan Peterson insists we must reconnect with ancient wisdom to survive modern chaos. Both present radically different visions of where human consciousness is heading, and honestly, the stakes couldn't be higher. Your entire future might depend on which perspective you find more compelling. The clash between Jordan Peterson and Yuval Noah Harari represents one of the most fascinating intellectual divides of our time. Two brilliant minds with completely different visions of what it means to be human, and what humanity will become. Today, we're diving deep into this intellectual battlefield to uncover what their disagreement reveals about your future and the choices you need to make right now. Peterson believes we're losing our spiritual anchors in a sea of nihilism. Harari thinks we're rapidly approaching a world where technology will fundamentally redefine what it means to be human. What happens when these worldviews collide? And more importantly, why should you care? Let's start with Harari. As the author of Sapiens and Homo Deus, he's crafted a narrative about humanity that many find deeply troubling in its implications. Harari controversially suggests that humans operate as biochemical algorithms, a framing that many critics see as fundamentally dehumanizing. He argues that as artificial intelligence advances, many traditional economic roles might be transformed or eliminated, potentially creating what he calls the useless class, economically displaced and struggling to find meaning. But wait, useless according to whom? This language reveals something profound about Harari's perspective that many find deeply disturbing. Who granted anyone the authority to classify human beings as useful or useless? This cold, technocratic framing strikes many as profoundly anti-human, reducing the intrinsic value of human life to mere economic utility, a worldview that echoes some of history's darkest chapters. According to Harari, we're entering an era where algorithms might know our behavioral patterns better than we consciously recognize them ourselves. They'll predict preferences, influence choices, and potentially make decisions on our behalf. The very notion of human autonomy and dignity, cornerstone values of civilization, seems disturbingly negotiable in this framework. Now let's contrast this with Peterson's perspective. Peterson, the controversial psychologist and author of 12 Rules for Life, presents a fundamentally different understanding of what makes us human. For him, consciousness isn't reducible to algorithms. It's tied to something deeper, to meaning, to responsibility, to the accumulated wisdom encoded in religious and cultural traditions. Have you ever wondered why Peterson's lectures resonate so deeply with millions of people? Many would say it's because he defends the intrinsic dignity and value of the individual human being. While Harari's analysis often feels detached, sociopathic, and clinical, discussing humanity as though from a remote, dispassionate height, Peterson speaks directly to the lived human experience with all its struggles and triumphs. He offers not just a roadmap for living, but a passionate defense of human worth that transcends utility or function. When Peterson tells you to clean your room, he's not just giving practical advice, he's suggesting that order in your external environment reflects and reinforces order in your internal world. More importantly, he's affirming that your individual choices matter, that you have agency, responsibility, and inherent value, regardless of your economic productivity. The difference between these two thinkers becomes especially clear when they discuss religion. For Harari, religions are essentially intersubjective realities, fictional stories we tell ourselves to enable large-scale cooperation. They're useful fictions, but fictions nonetheless. Peterson takes a radically different approach, viewing religious narratives as repositories of deep psychological truths accumulated over thousands of years of human experience. Consider the story of the flood in Genesis. Harari might see this as a myth that helped cement social cohesion. Peterson sees it as encoding eternal truths about chaos, order, and the responsibility of the individual to maintain proper balance between the two. One approach strips meaning from the story, the other finds profound meaning within it. When these two intellectual forces met in a fascinating discussion at the Orpheum Theater in 2018, their differences were on full display. Harari, with his soft-spoken, methodical style, painted a picture of humans potentially becoming data points in a vast technological system. Peterson, intense and passionate, insisted on the irreducible nature of consciousness and the primacy of meaning. But here's where things get really interesting. Despite their different starting points, both thinkers share concerns about where humanity is heading. Both worry about the loss of meaning in modern life. Both recognize that traditional structures that gave people purpose are crumbling. They just propose radically different solutions to this crisis. The truth is, we're living at a historical inflection point. Technology is advancing at a pace that would have been unimaginable even a generation ago. AI systems can now write essays, create art, and even engage in philosophical discussions. As these systems become more sophisticated, the questions Harari and Peterson are grappling with become increasingly urgent. Here's a striking fact that might surprise you. Nearly 40% of young adults report frequently questioning whether their lives have meaningful purpose. This existential uncertainty is exactly what Peterson addresses in his work, arguing that meaning isn't something you find, it's something you create through accepting responsibility. Many critics see Harari's vision as a fundamental threat to human dignity, a world where technocratic elites might determine human usefulness based on algorithmic calculations. They reject the premise that anyone has the right to classify human beings as dispensable or redundant. Throughout history, categorizing humans as useful versus useless has been the first step toward atrocities, a lesson we forget at our peril. Think about work and purpose for a moment. If economic structures radically change, where will people find their sense of contribution and value? These aren't abstract philosophical questions, they're practical concerns that might affect society sooner than we think. Peterson offers one answer: meaning is found in confronting the suffering inherent in existence and taking responsibility for improving your life and the lives of those around you. It's found in the day-to-day struggle to be a little better today than you were yesterday. It's not glamorous, but it's real. Most importantly, it centers human dignity as non-negotiable, something no algorithm, corporation, or government has the right to revoke. Harari presents a different vision. Perhaps in a world where economic structures are transformed, humans will focus on new forms of creativity, spirituality, and community. Or perhaps technology will open entirely new frontiers for human potential and expression. Critics, however, remain deeply skeptical of his framing, seeing in it a dangerous willingness to subordinate human dignity to technological progress. What's fascinating is how these different perspectives lead to different practical conclusions. Peterson urges you to establish routines, to take responsibility, to speak the truth, and to confront challenges with courage. His advice is grounded in the belief that these timeless principles lead to psychological well-being. Harari, while less focused on personal advice, suggests that we need new social and economic systems to address the challenges of the 21st century. He warns that without thoughtful adaptation, technological change could exacerbate inequality and social disruption. Both thinkers would agree on one thing: we're facing challenges that require us to think deeply about what matters. Whether you lean toward Peterson's emphasis on individual responsibility or find yourself critically examining Harari's more technocratic vision, the status quo isn't going to cut it. So where does this leave you? In a world of competing visions of human consciousness and potential, how do you navigate your own path? Perhaps the answer requires standing firm on certain non-negotiable principles: that human dignity is inherent, not granted by authorities or algorithms; that no one has the right to classify fellow humans as useless; that technological progress must serve humanity, not the other way around. From Peterson, we can take the emphasis on personal meaning, responsibility, and the value of traditional wisdom. From engaging critically with Harari's predictions, we can recognize the need to guard vigilantly against dehumanizing tendencies in technological development. The future of human consciousness won't be determined solely by philosophers or technologists. It will be shaped by the choices all of us make, about how we use technology, about what we value, about how we structure our societies, and most importantly, about whether we maintain the courage to defend human dignity against all systems that would diminish it. You have a stake in this conversation. Your consciousness, your unique experience of being human, is what's on the line. Whether you find yourself nodding along with Peterson's emphasis on meaning or rejecting aspects of Harari's technological determinism, engaging with these ideas is the first step toward shaping your own future. Before we wrap up, I want to challenge you with one final thought. What would your life look like if you maintained an unwavering commitment to human dignity while navigating a rapidly changing technological landscape? If you combined personal responsibility with vigilance against dehumanizing systems, if you sought meaning while refusing to let anyone classify any human being as useless, if you found this intellectual journey valuable, hit that subscribe button and join our community of thinkers exploring the big questions that will shape our collective future. I release new videos every week diving into the ideas that matter most: for navigating our complex world. The conversation between Peterson and Harari isn't just an academic debate, it's a profound exploration of what makes us human and whether that essence is negotiable. And in that exploration, your consciousness, your choices, and your understanding are what ultimately matter most. Thanks for thinking with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.